Morning everyone, we'll try this and we'll do another sandal review. It's been about 6 months to a year. So I've got various sandals here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a pair of water shoes. So I'll try to discuss some of the pros and cons instead of like an individual sandal review so much, a brand, just different styles and things I found here. And again, it's always geographically, wherever you live, you may encounter different issues. Here in the Philippines where I'm at, it's 80, 95 every day, 70, 80, 90% humidity. Feet sweat. It's very rugged terrain. It's not groomed trails. When you do hiking, I run in them. I hike in them. I just walk through town in them. I go to the beach in them. So we'll go over the most noteworthy pair I've got is my old, which is the oldest, is the Bedrock Cairn Pro 2s. And they're about 2 years old. They're past shop probably. So I've had them stitched up to keep the soles together, and that's the bottom of the one. So very well worn, 2 years old. Been pretty good, but I still continue periodically having issues with the toe strap because again my feet's sweating, oily, sweat's dripping down on the bed and footbed, and it causes you to slip and move around a little bit more. Try not to drip on the phone. I washed my hair and trying to cool down. I was out hiking in these here. So let's see, these, I forget what these are. These are a little more expensive. I don't know if you can see that. World Balance shoes. These were 7,000 pesos roughly. I ordered in from America. These were about 2,000. This pair here was I think about 1,000. This pair was like 300 or 400 pesos. This pair was about 800 pesos. This is my water shoes. What I found is you get more straps. You go from a shoe like the Cairn Bedrocks to something like this with many more straps. You get more support, but you also potentially get more wear points. And if you walk in the sand like you do here in the Philippines on a beach setting, the sand will get in there with the sweat or water and shape your foot a little bit more until your feet toughen up. I would say each of these shoes take 7 to 15 days to acclimate to if you wear them every day. Before your feet may not have any sore or pressure points. Which ones that are kind of my favorite overall has been the simplicity of the Bedrocks. They're probably number 1 or 2. And these World Balance shoes, which I bought locally, which were 2,000 pesos, much cheaper. They've given me more support with the straps, so your foot doesn't slip around as much. But again, a little more chafing points, and I do notice the heat because these have big pads on them as well on different parts of the shoe, which help cushion it, but as also creates more heat and wear part in my shaky hand there. My least favorite pair of shoes is these, probably made in China. They're like a Teva copy. This is like a Teva copy. This may be considered one who has the strap there, the Hurricane. I think it's called the Teva Hurricane. This one's overly complicated. It has like double straps and buckles, and it's very much more difficult to put in and not very comfortable. And your foot still moves around. This is pretty comfortable, but because of the stretchy nature and the lack of support with these types of strapping system, that your feet move around. And my least favorite, and the one I wear the least, these were new and I guess they're made in China. Flash 1 or I think it's, you can kind of read it on, fashion on. They kind of look nice, but what I've discovered, this shoe's probably a 1/4 inch or so, 3/8 of an inch more webbing, which fits my foot pretty good. And this left side does not. And then these are the water shoes, which I thought I'd like, but my feet get so hot and they get a little not chafing, but like a bacteria buildup or something. Even 3 or 4 hours of use, I wash them, I lay them out in the sun, but my feet still break out, and then I have to soak them for a day or two, so I don't really like them. They're very thin. Now I tend to like a thicker sole. We'll get down here a little lower and to show you the soles on this one's very thin, maybe a 1/4 inch or less. This is looks like 12-15 millimeters. This one's fairly thin, maybe 10 millimeters. Again, 12-15 millimeters. This one has a very sculptured foot build. It's got like a little kick up here, there, and in the front. So it's pretty supportive if your feet fit in there. This is pretty flat and about 12 millimeters. When it was new, I've worn it down to almost 0. Try to focus in there. I've had them stitched up, trying to get more life out of them since they're so expensive and hard to get here in the Philippines. So that's kind of my 2 cents. It depends on the climate. If you're somewhere in Canada and the temperatures are 70, 80, 60 when you're wearing your sandals, the heat issue is not much of an issue. If your terrain's really rugged, I prefer the supportive nature of a thicker sole. Probably, I'm gonna get the chair down here and sit down while I yap a few more minutes about that. But I prefer personally probably a minimum of a 10 to probably 15-20 millimeter sole. I've got some Chacos, I forget the name of it, Chaco, I call it Chacos, Chaco Z, I think, Z Cloud or Z, something like that, supposedly coming on the slow boat. So it's been like 2 or 4 months already. So I'm looking forward to trying them. But what I look for is the complication of putting them on and off, and the security I prefer, as you can tell by all the sandals, the heel strap, because I think when your feet start slipping and you're going in water, you're going in mud, sand, again, if you're running, hiking, going uphill, downhill, I think the foot strap in the back is very critical to have. People here in the Philippines use flip-flops, I call it, and they get away with it, but still they slip out of their sandal, or if you step in mud, it's stuck. Good morning, Winnie. That's my landlord, friend, store owner here. So we chit-chat every day and greet each other. So she's down below. So yeah, doing this at my place I rent here in the Sabang. So once again, it is Friday the 12th of September. So that's some of the things I look for in shoes, strapping. You really never know until you wear it a couple weeks whether you can go by, but I think a thicker sole is more supportive. You don't have as much ground feel. So sound can be a negative because some people really like, to feel the ground. To me, the less ground I feel, the faster and more agile I feel to move, because I feel it's more supportive, gives you more of a, it's like a bigger foot or something, more stability and platform. So that's my thoughts on sole thickness and stuff. So it has a little contour like the World Balance shoes here. It's very heavily contoured. I think that's a positive. Unless your feet are just way too small or extra big where you might hang out over the edge. That's why I say try stuff on and experiment. And I have, these are basically mimics of all the sandals on the market, even though they come from China, they kind of copy the Chaco or the Tiva, the popular brands. So I think the fewer straps you have and the more supportive the comfort, the better. I prefer like 2 straps on the front over the toes. Now for a short trip or just going to the beach or something, the toe's all right, but I sometimes go on typical, my hikes are on average probably 2 hours. And sometimes they can stretch into the 6-8 hour mark or something. And if I'm going for that length of hike, then I'm going to be taking the World Balance because they really hold my feet. But the problem with all this support here is if you get a rock in there, it doesn't come out the side as easily. So things can get stuck in there, and then also it's potentially, I noticed the heat. So just even though that's fairly open there, as you can see, much warmer. I noticed just sitting still in the shade, my feet are noticeably warmer because of all this extra padding and support. Everything's basically a trade-off. It's a trial and see, like I say all the time, what works for you and your environment, personally work with your feet. Personally, I'm only been wearing sandals pretty much for 3 years since I've been here in the Philippines, and I've been doing it in Philippine conditions. So if you're not familiar with the Philippines, it's very hilly and mountainous, and there's nothing flat that I've found is very well groomed. It's up and down and boulders and red clay and sand, and it's hot day and night, and potential rain and mud puddle and stream crossing, so you're dealing with all that. I find shoes and hiking boots just miserable here personally because I come from Ohio. That's my background. I did quite a bit of hiking and camping and a little bit of backpacking in Ohio. So the colder climate, I wore shoes all the time. But here in the Philippines, I quickly learned that the shoes, even my water shoes there on the end, don't quite cut it. The feet get way too hot for me, so I've got a northern big feet, I guess. So these are very stylish and potentially good if you can get the fit match with, because they're, I believe, China made, that they're a little cheaper quality, but they, even though they're 2 things, and there's no adjustment on that. It's a little bungee, and that's what it is. It's not even a bungee, it's kind of a rope, and if you fit, you fit, and if you don't, you don't. So I've worn them all, but the one I like the least is this one, and the bed's pretty good on it. The bedding, I'll flip them over and show you each of the thing real quick here, but that's that. So you see I've worn that down very thin. I've almost got holes up here in that one. And this one I've not worn because my feet don't fit in it, so it's virtually brand new. So that's that one. So good condition because it's so bad I can't, or it doesn't fit. This one I've worn a few times, but not very much. We'll flip that over. It gives some pretty good traction. Of all the shoes sandals I have, these World Balance, look at this first. Another like Tiva Hurricane Coffee. Pretty good traction and really wide and big print. This is the most grippy sandal, the World Balance. So if you're in the Philippines, I got some dirt on there or whatever, so it's going to focus in. But World Balance, I bought these up at, I think, Robertson Mall. These grip extremely well. I don't think it's so much the, the way the traction is on it, but the compound of the rubber. They're the most grippy sandals that I have here. It's followed secondly by the Bedrock Cairn Pro 2s. They're pretty grippy, but these are even more grippy. Surprisingly, them are the wet shoe from Bedrock Cairn Pro 2s, is the wet compound. But on wet rocks are just slick as can be, so where these actually grip. So I thought these were really good when I got them, but after trying these in all conditions, they're the most grippy sandals I have here. So if you're in the Philippines or a warm climate, and I could was recommended one sandal at the bunch, the World Balance here, I think we call it. If you can get them, they're my favorite for 2,000 pesos, which is about 40 bucks. Them were 150, 60 bucks or so. Different prices. I think that's just the average cost of them. You might get them a little cheaper on Amazon or one of the big websites. So I think these were like 1,800 pesos or something, near 2,000. Again, these were 700, 800. And these were like 300 or 400 peso, and these were about 600, 700, 800. And these were just over 1,000 pesos, so about 20 bucks for them. 500 peso is $10, and 1,000 peso is $20. So I'll give you some idea of currency here versus America. So that's my review. Best shoe for the money all around, fit and finish and traction are these. But again, the more strap and material you have, the more chances sand will stick in there when it's wet or get trapped or pebbled, and you have slightly hotter foot. But if your feet are pretty tough and you've worn sandals a lot, all of these, there's nothing I can put on and I would go for a hike for 5 hours or something for 3 or 4 or 5 hours and wear and not have discomfort until I get used to it. It took me a couple months on on average about 2 to 4 weeks with each pair of sandals for my feet to acclimate. Every time I switch, I get another hot spot. But this type of sandal with these straps, and they're very soft and flexible and have a lot of give to it, are, in my opinion, not very good. This has some interesting potential. This one's not very good. It's overly, it's a double strap, double layered buckles, and it's overly complicated, not a good design. So this is a very good design if you like the toe thing, but in warm or hot conditions, my foot swims around. So if you got any questions or comments, or you want to add to the sandal review, feel free to post in the comments. Please like and subscribe. So that's my little tips. I prefer thicker soles. I prefer these World Balance of all the sandals I currently have used and have. I've got other pairs as well. This is just a sample. I've got like 4 pairs of the Cairn Pro 2s, so it's pretty much the same. They tend to last between a year or 2 typically for me. So that's my review. If you got any questions or comments, I've probably left something out, but that's it. It's gotten long here. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope it shows well in the brown background. Thanks.